So yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. Now, for those of you who don't know about Vancouver Foundation, despite our name, we are an organization that works across the entire province. And the way that we work is that we connect the generosity of donors with the energy, ideas, and time of people to create healthy, vibrant, and livable communities across BC. So for over 78 years, we have distributed more than $1 billion to the charitable sector across British Columbia. And the way that we do this work is through hundreds of volunteers and partners across the province, including more than 50 community foundations across BC. So we couldn't do this work without these partners. And so in a way, you could say that connections are our life force at Vancouver Foundation. So what I want you to do now is just think of a time when you felt really happy and satisfied and joyful. And just think about that experience for you. And for most of us, if you remember a memory and it comes easily to you, for most of us, that situation is going to involve being and engaging with people. So for most of us, happy memories involve being with others. So we know that meaningful connections play a very integral role in our well-being. And what we see now is how challenged we are, probably more than ever. We may see and meet other people, but the important thing is, how do we connect? Do I get you? Do you get me? Do you trust me enough to let your guard down, to let me in? The more people we have with whom we can talk about personal matters, the more satisfied we tend to be in our own life. So loneliness is bad for happiness. And over the years, we have heard hundreds of stories in our work at Vancouver Foundation of what happens when people do connect to each other. And so I think about some of the stories that come out of Neighbourhood Small Grants, when people feel disconnected and lonely and are despairing about that loneliness and reach out to others to organize a small project or to invite people into conversation, and how that changes their life, the life of those around them. And so this is how grassroots action works. And there are thousands of people across the province already working at this level. And at Vancouver Foundation, we have such a commitment and a belief to supporting the grassroots movement. So we know that now more than ever, we need to encourage each other to take action, no matter how small. We have seen through COVID a certain paralysis in many people, even in those people who generally are community activists. And this is a normal reaction to disaster. And I think Maya Angelou once had this great quote where she said, all of us at some time or another need help. Whether we are giving or receiving help, each of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us to our neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver. So why is this issue of social connections so important? So for over a decade, Vancouver Foundation has been committed to learning and understanding this. And we do this because we know that when people feel disconnected, they give less, they serve less, they participate less, they care less, and they experience poorer health outcomes, including lower immunity. So what we know is that before COVID, people were already mentioning that they were experiencing sort of unsatisfying relationships, feeling like they had nothing to offer and retreating from community life. And these experiences have physiological, psychological, and social effects which impact our health, our resilience, and community well-being. And then came COVID. And we've already had research that shows us that the majority of Canadians feel that physical distancing has left them feeling more lonely and more isolated, and that this tends to be more pronounced the younger you are. In BC, specifically, people are feeling more worried, more stressed, more bored, more anxious, and lonely than before the pandemic. So COVID attacks our bodies, but also the cultural foundations of our lives. So what we need are new tools, capacities, and commitments. Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And so the question is, what will it take for us to become the helpers and to ask for help? Among the most basic tools are continuing to host conversations, whether they are physically distant or virtual. And there are increasing numbers of people who are stepping up to do this. And so this is an area for us at Vancouver Foundation that we are really challenging everyone to become involved in. We have work to do if we want to improve our chances of being resilient post-COVID. Now more than ever, it's critical to our and our community's well-being. The question that to hold is to how do we each individually and collectively inspire conversations? Please check out our On the Table event in September, where we've created a platform to make it easy for people to do this. And what we're really hoping is that you know, as we move into the fall and the winter, which is traditionally a harder time for people, that we can create new and more opportunities for us and for people to come to connect. Thank you.